Hi, I'm Pam and I'm here to talk about video games. Today I'm continuing on with my favorite games of all time, this time covering numbers 80 to 76. I like this portion of the list because it has one game from each of the major platforms. Hooray for variety. First, repping the PC, is one of the games that popularized the term walking simulator. Although, I'm not sure popularized is the right word, as it was originally used as a derogatory term.
Gone Home was developed by Fulbright and released in 2013. It's a narrative exploration game where you take on the role of 21-year-old Katie, who has just come home from overseas, only to find her house empty, her parents and younger sister nowhere to be found. When I first played this, I didn't know what to expect. The setting and presentation was almost sinister. I kept expecting something scary to happen, but it never really did. Instead, it became a touching tale of self-discovery and family drama. As you explore the house, you get hints of what has happened, along with your family's history. What you get out of Gone Home depends on what you put into it and how much you explore. Though the main story ends up being about your sister, you can also learn a lot about your parents and where they are if you are thorough enough. Gone Home is set in 1995, and the setting, time, and cultural context made the game feel like it was made with me specifically in mind. The things I found in that house all brought back such great memories. Lisa Frank-looking stickers, VHS tapes with the X-Files recorded onto them, pictures of celebrities cut out of magazines decorating bedroom walls. I had all these things, and it made me feel like I was going back to my own house.
Number 79 is on a Sega console, and it's a charming yet explosive puzzle game that I've previously reviewed on the channel.
Saturn Bomberman was developed by Hudson Soft and released for Sega Saturn in North America in 1997. It's a puzzle game where the puzzles take the form of mazes that you must work your way through by planting and blowing up bombs to remove obstacles and enemies. There's all kinds of variety in the game. You upgrade your bombs in different ways, like increasing the range, or getting the ability to remote detonate, or being able to kick bombs. You can find dinosaurs to ride that give you different kind of abilities. Aesthetically, the game is great. It's got beautiful pixel art and lively music. The 5 different worlds are all unique and are full of life and movement, with Samurai World being particularly beautiful. In addition to the great single-player campaign, the game offers 2-player co-op, a battle mode for up to 10 players, and a very challenging gauntlet-type mode. Saturn Bomberman is clever, challenging, and charming.
Next is a game that I played on the Nintendo GameCube, though to be fair, it's multi-platform. It also has zombies. There are a lot of zombie games.
Resident Evil 4 was developed by Capcom and released in 2005. It's a survival horror game, though it's much more action-oriented than the previous games in the Resident Evil series. As Leon Kennedy, you go to rural Spain to rescue the president's daughter. The less said about that part, the better. And end up fighting off a lot of hostile, parasite-infected villagers. Rather than a ploddingly paced survival horror with fixed camera angles, this was an over-the-shoulder shooter and is to be thanked for the rise in prominence of third-person shooters. It was also the first time I can remember playing a shooter with a laser sight, which is awesome. Though I played earlier games in the series, this is the first one that really made me love it. RE4 has a great blend of action, horror, and comedy. One moment you're scrambling away from the terrifying sack-headed executioner who's wielding a chainsaw, which is the scariest weapon, and the next you're up against the campiest villain you've ever seen in Ramon Salazar, and get to watch him stamp his tiny little feet as he orders your death. Even protagonist Leon Kennedy is always full of snark. It ends up being a well-paced and always exciting ride that manages to hit all the right notes. Other than the escort parts. Pay no attention to the escort parts.
77 is a game I played on the Xbox 360, and it takes a classic children's tale and gives it a sinister twist.
Alice Madness Returns was developed by Spicy Horse and released in 2011. It's an action-adventure game filled with platforming and a high creep factor. Based on Alice's adventures in Wonderland, you play Alice. But she's not a little girl who has fallen down a rabbit hole. Instead, she's confined to an orphanage, and she's been traumatized by the death of her family, which she thinks she is responsible for. Wonderland has been corrupted, but is still a joy to explore. There are pills you take to shrink or grow, which can help you get through the levels and find secrets. Common objects like a teapot get turned into a cannon that sends explosives at your enemies. And the whole thing has a wonderfully hallucinatory feeling. Alice has decent platforming and combat and lots of secrets to find, but it's the aesthetics that really stand out for me. Each stage has its own theme that's wonderfully realized. There's a level that's typical of what you'd imagine when you think of Wonderland. There's a factory level, an underwater level, and the best little touch? Alice's dress changes to match the theme every time. She gets a steampunk dress from the Hatter's Domain that's covered in buckles and features a mechanical clock on the back. There's the siren dress you wear underwater, which is in beautiful pastels and covered in scales and shells. One dress is based on the Queen of Hearts, and in the DLC, there's even a chess dress. A chess dress! Wonderful.
And last for this episode is a game featuring one of the PlayStation's early mascot that recently got a remaster.
Crash Bandicoot 2: Cortex Strikes Back was developed by Naughty Dog and released in 1997. It's a 3D platformer where you play the titular marsupial who has been abducted by Dr. Cortex and must collect crystals for him. Crash offers solid platforming, a variety of bright and fun levels, and plenty of collectibles and secrets. One thing that makes me respect a game a lot is when it does something that I usually can't stand in games, but does it in a way that makes me like it. Here, it's run at the camera. I love the levels when you're running away from the boulder like Indiana Jones, or riding away on a polar bear and have to jump and crawl and slide your way to victory. The view shows you what's coming up with just enough time to react to it. It's tough, but not unfair. The other thing that makes Crash special is the work put into the little visual details. Crash gets bored and will turn around and make faces if you're inactive too long. Every death is unique and funny, from burning to a crisp when he blows up boxes he's too close to turning into a giant ice cube when he falls in freezing water. The game manages to even make failure entertaining.
That's all for this episode. I hope you'll come back for the next one, which features a lot of love for PC games.
If you missed it, check out the last episode in this series, or watch my full review of Saturn Bomberman. I've also got a Patreon if you want to support my videos. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.